Okay, so today we're going to train a little bit about planning. And, it's already mid-November, which means the new year will be upon us shortly. Oftentimes people use the new year as a point of a new start, right? Or putting a new plan in place or having a renewed sense of goals and what you want to accomplish for the year, how you want to feel for the year. So it's obviously like the time that people generally do that. You can obviously decide to make a switch or a change at any time of the year, right? But we generally do this at this kind of end of the year going into next year. So what I wanted to do for you today was to take you through a process to actually lay out a plan for your life. I find it very important to think of things in a holistic way, and that your life is not just your job, right? And to be really good at your job and to be successful at your job, you've got to have the other levers in your life going well, right? If everything else is a mess, it's really hard to have a successful year in real estate. If you are paying attention to all aspects, then you're going to be at an elevated mental state, an elevated self-esteem, elevated confidence, which obviously leads to more success in what you do for your profession, right? So I wanted to just take you through a process of taking a look at your life, putting some things down on paper, and then having a template that you can go back and look at throughout the year so that you can stay on track and, more importantly, make adjustments and pivots as you go along the way throughout the year. I think the biggest thing that I see with any kind of like annual planning is that oftentimes people will go through the process of making the plan, and it seems so daunting, overwhelming, too much at once, and that plan goes in a drawer and it doesn't come out until you clean your drawer out a year later. And you're like, oh yeah, I made that really cool plan going into this year that I never looked at again. So I don't want you guys to do this for the sake of doing the um, ritual and then not do anything with it. Although going through the process in itself will help you. So I'm just gonna like dive in and take you through the steps here. Okay. I'm gonna try to share screen, see if this works. Okay, so this is kind of an annual planning workshop, and I will tell you that this is something my wife actually put together, not entirely out of her own imagination, but by piecing together a few different things that we have seen over the years and put it together to work for ourselves. And what my wife and I have done the last couple of years is we have taken a weekend late in the year, November, December, even like beginning of January, and we go and hole ourselves up in a hotel for like 2 days. And not only do we use that as a time to connect with each other, have a couple nice dinners, but we get really focused in on connecting and laying out what we want for ourselves and for each other for the year ahead. And this has been super helpful so that we could be really focused on this one project, but also like share some good spouse time. So if that's an option for you, I really recommend it. It's a really great thing to do. So the first step is to determine the categories of your life. Okay, so step one is, what are the categories that are important to you in your life? And this says to set 8 categories. I would say that it's going to be between 4 and 10. Most people are probably going to come up with 6 to 8 categories of your life. So I can't tell you what's important to you in your life. You've got to determine that. but generally we're all going to have very similar categories, right? So like mine are marriage, health and wellness, parenting, home, finances, fun, career, and something that my wife and I call Dharma. Dharma is like our passion side project things that we want to do for ourselves on the side. So those are our 8 categories. And yours are going to be probably similar, but they could be whatever is important to you. Okay, so step 1 is determine your categories. So write that down. 6 to 8 probably. Step 2 is I want you to rate each category as it is in your life right now. So if you gave that category a rating of 1 to 10 in your life, how is it going right now? What score would you give it? And here's the rule I have. You cannot use the number 7. 7 is a cop-out answer for ranking something. Okay, so then be like totally honest with yourself. You know, if your marriage is a 4, then it's a 4. Write it down. Like, I don't care. So be totally honest. Rank all the things in your life a 1 to 10 rating. Okay. Step 3 is now rank the categories in order of priority to you as you go into next year. So if 2022 is going to be your year for your career to take off, and that is going to be your number 1 priority, even if your rating of your career right now is a 3, but your priority for it going into next year is your number 1 priority, then give it number 1 priority. So I want you to rank them 1 through 8 in order of priority. Okay. Step 4 is what narratives do you want at the end of the year? So at the end of 2022, what goals, feelings, actions do you want by the end of the year? And this is a brain dump. So this is like just writing down words and phrases as fast as you can. But here's the tip on this one. I want you to imagine this category being a 10 in your life, like a 10 out of 10. If it was a 10 out of 10, what are all the things that you'd be feeling, the things that you'd be doing, the rituals that would be in place, the actions you're taking in that category if it's a 10 out of 10. So just like write all that down really pretty fast. It should be just like off the top of your head. Okay. And the 5th step is on here, it's step number 3, is to do SNIP. So SNIP, S-N-I-P, stands for sustain, new initiatives, and projects. So now you're in a single category, right? You're only talking about category number 1. Let's say it's marriage or career or whatever. In this category, what do you want to sustain or maintain? So what are the things that are working well right now? Like, let's give ourselves some credit for what we're doing well, what we'd like to keep doing. Sometimes we get in a good habit and then we just kind of forget about it and lose sight of it and stop doing it when it was really serving us well. You know, maybe there's something that you thought like, hey, I was doing that for most of the year, but I kind of lost sight of it. So what are the sustains, the S's? What are the new initiatives? So what are the new habits or new rituals, new actions that you want to put into place in this category, that you want to develop in this category? Call those new initiatives. And these are going to think of these as like ongoing things that you want to place in your life. And then the P is projects. So think of a project as a more like one and done type of thing that might take like a big chunk of time, something that you're going to have to make space for, something that you don't necessarily just fit into your everyday, but that like, oh, probably gonna have to block a half a day and just knock this out and get it done so that I can set myself up for the things that I want to have happen. So like an example that comes to mind is, let's say your category is finances, and you know that to do what you want to do in your finances for the year, you really want to set up your tracking system, right? And you've got to sit down for a good 3-4 hours and just put together your mechanism to do that, whether it's a new spreadsheet, whether it's getting on mint.com, it's like tracking, integrating your bank account with a tracking system, like something that you just got to like get done or get cleaned up or taken care of. Think of that as a project. So write those down. Okay, so you do that for this category. Now we're still staying in the same category. Now I want you to look at, actually I'm going to add a D to the end of SNP. So you can call it snipped. The D stands for delete. So let's say I'm in my health and wellness category, and under delete, I'm going to say alcohol, or I'm going to say going to bed after midnight, or I'm going to say, you know, late night pizzas, whatever I want to delete that I think will really help me get to a 10 out of 10, right? So we've got snipped for the whole category. So now we've written down all these ideas in the brain dump. We've written down some more specifics in the snipped. Now I want you to take a look at all that. And I want you to come up with a one word or one phrase to summarize this whole category and how you want it to feel for yourself, right? Like, let's say you're in career and everything you're writing down all points to just screaming at you, kick ass, whatever you want it to say, like the thing that's going to like invoke some emotion for you. Like, how do you want that category to feel for you for 2022? Okay. So that's the whole process that you have to really think about doing in a dedicated time. Honestly, you can do this pretty quickly. And I would go through every category one after another and get it all done at the same time. Like, don't start this and then put it down and come back to it. Like, time block some time. It's come up with my categories, rank my categories, rate my categories, brain dump ideas, do snipped, come up with my one word. And then when I do that for all eight of my categories, then I want you to come up with one main theme or phrase for your year that combines it all together. And that's kind of your mantra for the year. Okay. So now you've done all that. You're like, okay, great. I just spent 2 hours, 3 hours setting my intentions for the next year. Great. Now what? So now is the important part, which is how are you going to implement this going forward? So what my wife and I do is we take everything that we've just created and we create like a Google document and we lay it out like it's a meeting agenda, right? So agenda number 1 is the priority number 1 category. So the category that you said was number 1 priority is number 1 on your agenda. So let's say it was career. So agenda point number 1 is career. Under it, you're going to write your snipped, right? Write out your sustain, your new initiatives, your projects, and your deletes. And go through and do that for all your categories. Now, this is a working document. So you go, and my wife and I do this like every 2 weeks. We have this meeting where we go and visit this document. And as we complete projects, we erase it off of the document. If we come up with new projects, we put it on the document. If we come up with new things we want to delete, we put it on. If we're always just like checking in with what we're doing, but we're making adjustments along the way. Like, oh yeah, that was really ambitious of us at the beginning of the year, but you know what? It's not that much of a priority anymore. We're okay with that kind of staying on the agenda and not getting to it. But it's a way to keep your eye on the ball all along the way. So what we do is we just make a copy of that document and date it on the meeting date. And then by the end of the year, we have a new document for every single time we had a meeting, and we can see how the categories and initiatives and projects have changed throughout the year. It's just a really nice way to, I kind of look at it as running your life as if it was a business that you owned, and you're trying to protect your asset. And one of the most important goals for any business is to grow, right? Standing still is going backwards. So if we're not growing and we're not trying to find ways to improve all the time, we're not getting anywhere. I think, one of the lines that I love is don't live the same year 60 years in a row and call it a life. Like, your goal should be to continually grow and evolve. And some of you might be thinking like, yeah, this is great, but to be honest, like, my life is so stressful and I'm barely hanging on and barely surviving the day, and I hold my life together with like beer and chocolate right now. Like, that is why you should do this. That is a reason to kind of grab hold of it, so that you can feel like you've got some control and some direction behind what you're doing and some purpose. And the check-in meeting, even if it's just with yourself, is to hold yourself accountable to it, right? Which is always the hardest thing to do. Like, I get it. That's super hard. But what if none of this, what if just every day you just woke up and were like, yeah, let's see what the day brings me today. And you do that every single day for the whole year. And then at the end of the year, you realize you were just reacting all year long, and you were never being proactive about making the things that you wanted to have happen in your life happen, and the places you wanted to get to. So this is laying out your intentions, where you want to get to, laying out a little bit of a roadmap of how you're going to do it by setting the initiatives and the projects that are necessary for it, and then making small increments. Now, it's super hard to be, we overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 weeks, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year, right? So the big mistake here is to say, I'm going to do these a project in all 8 of my categories and implement 3 new initiatives in every category, 24 new initiatives all in the first 2 weeks. Like, it's not going to work. Prioritize. Say, this is what I'm going to do this week, right? 1 or 2 things. This is what I'm going to do next week, 1 or 2 things. And you just start slowly like building the life that you want in the categories that are important to you. So that's kind of the whole thing. You guys have any questions or comments?
Are you holding any one-on-one sessions, Brian? You seem very good at this.
I would be happy to. I think it is I think it is a process that you can do on your own, or should do on your own, the whole like categories. And I don't know, maybe it is helpful to have someone like prompting you of like, making you think of things that you should be thinking of. And then the first couple like accountability meetings, especially if you're doing this on your own, could be helpful to have someone kind of guide you. I'd be happy to do that kind of exercise with anyone. And I'm also like, I don't want to pretend like I've got this down and I'm perfect at it and that my wife and I really make every single meeting happen. But we make way more than 0 meetings happen, I'll tell you that, which is, super helpful. And like, we've only been doing this for the last couple of years, but it helps us feel like we're in control of our life. And I think like what we've all lived through over the last couple of years kind of threw us all in this chaos, that we don't feel like we're in control always, and that there's so many outside factors at play that are kind of just pecking away at what we want for ourselves and for our life and how we live, that when you do something like this, it's kind of like taking hold of the wheel and just saying like, screw all that. I'm taking control of my own life. So it is kind of freeing to have that feeling, even if you're still struggling. Like there's still areas of my life that I wish were going better, but it's all in the process of trying to grow and improve. It's not like, oh yeah, I got there, I'm 10 out of 10. Now I'm 10 out of 10 forever in that one. Like it's never going to happen. So what do you think, Mike?
No, I like it. Definitely a lot of things I should be doing. I'm terrible at goal setting. So I mean, this is a good start for me to get situated in that arena.
So let's talk about that. Because I think almost everyone would tell me that they're terrible at goal setting. And I actually would probably put myself in that category too. So why do you think you're terrible at goal setting? Is it because like what piece of that doesn't work for you?
I think I just lack thereof in life and not starting earlier on and just kind of trying to figure it out all now later on in life instead of doing it in my, early 20s or whatever the case may be, just to have more practice to, because part of it too for me is following through. I can set goals too, but that's the accountability is definitely a struggle.
Yeah, I think that's where most people have this disconnect with goal setting, is because they're like, yeah, I'll write down the stupid goal that you tell me has to be a SMART goal and all the stupid rules around setting goals. But if I don't do anything about it, it doesn't even matter, right? Like, so that's what it kind of comes down to, is the accountability. And also a lot of people have a problem with accountability. Like, don't tell me what to do, right? But if you can hold yourself accountable to the things that you said you wanted in a way that is not like condescending or making you feel bad about it, I think that's what the problem most people have, is like, yeah, I'm going to set a great goal for myself and then just feel like shit about it because I'm not accomplishing it. Like, I don't want to feel like shit, so I'm not going to set the goal, right? So I think that's like what a lot of people think about it. So I don't want you to think of it that way. I want you to think of it as, this is a mechanism to help me grow and get to a better place. And it's all about the process and the journey. It's never about actually arriving at the golden destination, right? Which doesn't exist. So I think we need to like eliminate this whole feeling we have about goals in general and just think of it as a like more of like taking control of like, I want to start running my life instead of letting my life run me. And I'm going to take control of that. And to talk about like age, like I'm 45 years old. I turn 46 in a couple of weeks. The way I look at it is I'm going to live to 90. So I have 45 more years of living. I've done a lot in my life in this first 45 years. I know I can do a lot in my next 45. So I'm not going to limit myself that too much time has already passed, right? And Mike, you're a lot younger than me. Like you could start something today and imagine where you're going to be 20 years from now if you put something in place today, right? So it's really hard in our society to think of the long game, because everything is so like quick satisfaction, like instant gratification. But the compounding effect of the long game of like doing these little things year after year after year, you'll be amazed at what, you know, I said we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year. Imagine what you can accomplish in 10 years, 20 years, a career, right? So it's also hard because we tend to compare ourselves to others a lot, especially in our social media society. Like everybody's highlight reel is in front of us all the time, and it's all a bunch of BS. Everyone's struggling as much as we are. So just like put your head down and go to work on yourself, and don't let the distraction of others' pseudo success get in your way. All right, any other parting shots, final comments? If you want me to send you that document that I was just referring to, send me a message. I just have it in a PDF. I'll just email it to you. If you're going to do this, I would challenge you to do it soon. Get it, you know, block off some time one of these days and just go through the exercise and see what you come up with. If you need help, just reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. I emailed you and asked you for the document already. I'm going to use it with my teenager too.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to hear your voice, Billy.
I don't want you to see my face today. It's not good. But I'm glad to be here, you guys.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for jumping on this morning. I'll send that document out. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.
Yeah.